In this video I will give you a template for architecture of a sample application on Monogame. You can find all the code in the description. The presented architecture is MVC, but with reservation. I personally think that pure MVC is inconvenient and just create a lot of unnecessary code, and I don't fully understand how to implement it in Monogame. So we have an empty project. Let's create a directory core. In it we will stuff the most little changing parts of the program, such as globals, enums and game engine, or game engine 1, depending on how you have named this class. Create an interface for our game object with all three main methods. I remind you that an interface should just describe an entity and nothing more, so it's ideal to implement a model in MVC. The game state manager will manage the display scene inherited from iObject. Scene classes on them you can build wherever you want. Create a start scene classes and step back for now to write a global variables. These parameters we will use to set the height and weight of the screen and also to get these values through the program. Also, for our game state manager to work, we need to track the current scene somehow. For convenience, we will write a num with all our scene in project. We will write a value current scene and the num. Now we can implement switch case switching. Nice. Add a couple of trivial things that this is a variable that will terminate the program. Later see how, and variable that will keep track of whether the game windows is active. Later see how. We need to add the current and past mouse state so we can track clicks on things that are being clicked. I was a little stupid as usual. Let's rename it so the names don't conflict. Now we are ready to finalize our game engine and never come back to it again. I will go from top to bottom. Now change is mouse visible to false to hide the cursor. Add delegates to active window and inactive window. In general, this is to make sure that when you alt-tab from your application, the program doesn't continue to track keystrokes, mouse and so on. In the meantime, I've brought back initialize again. In it we will set the screen parameters. Don't forget to apply the changes. We are ready to move on to adding our first texture. If you don't have this window, just download the Monogame plugin. Choose existing item, find them, and OK. You must remember one thing. Always, I repeat, always click on these buttons after changes. They build the content file. In this update, we use all those variables. If the window is inactive, we just update nothing. If it is active, we update what is provided by game state manager. If the exit is true, we minimize the whole application. There is nothing special about drawing, just remember the order of drawing top to bottom. I tried to run it, I realized I forgot to make a game state manager. I ran it As you can see, the screen is dark and we changed the cursor to our texture. It's totally success. Well, let's move on to something more serious. Let's create an object folder. In it we will create a button class and immediately add an interface for clickable objects. This interface will have a variable rectangle for the trigger and an event delegate to which we will pass the action performed after the click to our button. Then we do the usual routine, customize the class, blah blah blah. This is more interesting. This method checks if they have pressed the left mouse button thanks to the global mouse state, and if the button is now down and the previous state is realized and its position is in the trigger zone of the button, we invoke the delegate. I thought it would be fun to make a scene interface. It will have a prefix. In it, the prefix is needed so we can conveniently load the content to our scene. As I said before, the interface will be models for us. Object will act as a controller, and the scene will act as views. But as I said before, there are reservations, and this reservation are that our views and scene are a bit intervenient and pure MVC is not possible. Now there will be a long part. I'm trying to show you how to use adding an existing folder. For this you need to first create a new folder using the plugin and then import the existing one to it. Check the box if you have a lot of files in the folder. Using Monogame, I came across the problem of renaming the edit file. You need to rename the object in 3 places, wherever you have overloaded the plugin. The first is the hierarchy of the project, the second is in the current file, and the third is in the plugin. Also, just in case, restart the plugin. Yes, by the way, you must these files, then open File Explorer and delete everything you don't need. Then the file is imported without problems. And yes, when you click Exclude from project, the file is not deleted from the directory. Please note that there are several ways to assign an action to a button click, and you can betray arguments as much as you like. Now let's launch the application, and yes, there are buttons. Where we click on the play, we go on the empty stage. So far, when we click on exit, we shut down. I double in again, I will add sound effect when hovering over the button. That's right, I forgot to show that here you can choose how to process your file. For example, you can choose that the program considers it as a music and there is a completely different way to play it. And if, for example, you need to consider a JSON file, you should put not build but copy. Perfecto, mucho interesante. I plan to make draggable boxes that would save their location. For this purpose, we will write a JSON manager through which it will be possible to save any class from object in JSON files. JSON ignore is necessary for the manager not to serialize any unnecessary garbage, and what should be serialized make sure that to take it public. And here I do not understand why I don't not save properly. If you study the code, there is an interesting point in the box. It has a inverted invoke. It is called when the user realizes the left button. Here I realized that I didn't make the coordinates public, and as you can see, everything works. And I remind you that this is just a template that you can develop as you like. The code is in the description, and I will do the back button now.